Okay, so we have these 6 pieces left over that make up our lower arm. Again, we're going to sand them out to the point we're happy with. Just give these a quick touch up because they've been floating around a little bit. Okay, so first thing I want to do is we're going to set the 2 cross braces aside and we're going to take the 2 uprights. So what we want to do is we actually want to assemble these uprights together before continuing on with the rest of the build. So what we'll do is we're going to take 2 of the short and the long upright, and then what we're going to get is we need 3 of our last posts, and these are a 3/8 long post. So we need 1, 2, 3 of the female, and then 3 of the screws that go along with them. And so what I like to do is I like to take the female side and press it through this bracket. Now these can be a little tight depending on how well the cut went. So just kind of work it through there. You can kind of twist them a little bit. You basically want to get them put in through these holes. And if you want, you can clear that hole with your razor blade. I tend to just give it a good push and it goes in. So you'll end up with those 3 little nubs sticking out. Now those are not going to be long enough to go all the way through, and that's okay. We want this to be a rigid joint, not a flexible joint. So then we'll take and we'll put this part on. And so the assembly you're trying to do is you've got the straight part, kind of a taper on the back, comes down, notch in the front, and so they should look about like that. And then we'll go ahead and put on our 3 screws. To the inside here. Just twist those in. And we'll want to give these a good tighten. Now these ones you actually want to go ahead and get a screwdriver and just be real careful and tighten them, because these hold together the arm, and so they're actually doing a little bit of work. So we want to make sure they're pretty tight. But again, as we know from before, if we slip, you can really mess up these little screw heads. So just take your time, and we'll go ahead and put the other one together. Now, you're going to build them as a opposite pair. So if you built this one this way, this second one needs to be built the opposite way because they go parallel to each other. So we need 1, 2, 3 of those, 1, and 3 of those. Okay, and we're going to take and insert that part on it. And give those a good tighten. Alright, so what we end up with is a pair of the uprights. Now, next, when we go to assemble these uprights together, they have to assemble around the cross for our wrist pivot. So what I like to do first, though, is since we're putting, we have both sides, what I'll tend to do is I'll go ahead and assemble our brackets into one side so that we're not fighting trying to hold them, and then put the hand in and put the other side on. So, now for this assembly we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to need 8 more of our square nut kits. So we're going to just throw out some of this. 2, 4, 6, 7. Okay, there's 8 square nuts. And then 2, 4, 6, 8 button heads, and then we need some more washers here. All right. Okay. So we've got our hardware and our cross braces. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mount one of these braces into one side of the arm to make it a little easier. So we'll start with this bottom brace. So what I like to do is just take a square nut and slide them in. Like so, and then while holding it, we'll just set this part down on there. And then set a couple of washers on top and some screws. And get it all lined up and go. Okay, so once you get them started, like so. Got to do the top one. On this lower bracket, the side with the tab faces down because that's going to interface into the bottom. On the upper cross brace, it's the same both sides, so it doesn't matter how it goes in. Okay, so that puts together one side of the arm. So now what we got to do is, this one's a little trickier because now you've got to fit the wrist in there at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and slide it over the one side of the wrist pin. Kind of turn that sideways. And then we'll start. Now, if you want to, you can just fish these nuts in after you slide it together, but I tend to like doing it this way, so we'll give it a try here. Put 2 of them like that, and then this bracket. Goes right on here. Trying to keep those nuts from falling out. Okay. Okay, and then we got the lower 2. And that is it. Now, as you can see, the servo wires get tucked down the back side because those wires are all going to lay right here on the back of the arm and exit out the bottom. So we just tuck those around the back side. If they didn't go back there when you put it together, just tuck them back there now. And so basically this ends up with this section of the arm.